Host of Forged in Fire.
Kyle Mann.
I'm G. Warner Wallace.
Kira Davis.
It's Ben Adams.
Hey, this is Dave Baker.
Carrie Pomeroli.
This is Mike Reiner.
This is Ethan Nicole.
This is Leanne Morgan.
This is Graham Parker, the 5th GP, and this is why you should never.
Never.
How I got suckered in.
I'm so embarrassed that I'm here.
You're wasting your time. You got better things to do.
Never listen.
Those darling, yummy Reverend and the Reprobate.
You go
hey,
get
everybody,
some
welcome to
nerds.
the Reverend and the Reprobate. My name is Lucas Pinkett. I'm a real-life pastor.
Ranchers.
And here with me, as always, is a man who is grumpy about his sugars. It's Dan Whip Gibson.
What's up, buddy?
What's going on, man? So you'll notice in this episode at one point, Camden was tasked, our unpaid intern Camden, was tasked with going to get Danley a little candy. And
Gevalt.
on his way, what is it, like the name of the Witcher? On his way out,
Not bad.
I caught him. Thank
Not
you.
bad.
I caught him by the door, and it's like the Jewish version of the Witcher.
This is Geralt. This is Gevalt.
Tom Leopold would love that joke. So on his way out, I said, hey, look, I know you're going to grab candy. Bring me all the good candy and only bring back Danley candy that you think is terrible. And so he brought Danley back Sugar Daddy, which
you can't eat on a podcast.
Which Danley
I was just wanting a quick infusion of sugar.
Right. Yeah.
Put a smile on my
your
face.
energy levels
I had
up.
to sit here and gnaw on this dumb thing. And I
it's,
tried.
So how many licks does it take to get to the middle of a...
I'm not even at the tip.
And it's such a weird... It's milk caramel,
Yeah,
which I've never heard of in my life.
No,
And
I'm done with that.
So Dan will be licking a sugar daddy. Moody Molavi is our guest today. And Moody talks to us about Camden. Do you have more? A fresh
Another
sugar daddy.
Sugar daddy.
There you go.
How about nerds?
There you go.
Those are good. That's
Three
good.
Musketeer. That's
good.
the right kind of candy for big fellas. Is the Three Musketeer.
Camden, you are going places, my friend.
Big on chocolate, not on fat. You remember those commercials?
Yeah, I do.
So Moody Molavi is on the show today. Moody talks to us about his new special, which will be coming out on XM Sirius Radio as well as on YouTube here in the next few months. It was shot live at Zanies in Nashville. He tells us how his comedy has morphed since the beginning of the pandemic and what his motivation for doing comedy is, how that has changed. So it's a cool kind of catching up for us because our last...
With a very funny comedian and also a buddy.
Yeah, a very funny comedian and also a good dude. Question.
Yep.
So for those of you who don't know, Danley's child has been in Italy.
Yeah.
Over the last several weeks.
Uh-huh.
I'm curious, Kale's, at this point, what do you think Kale's takeaways from Italy are going to be?
Coffee for sure.
Yeah.
Hopefully not wine. We'll see.
He's just going to come back as a sommelier.
He's definitely opened his palate in terms, with food that they especially in Sicily, they tend to eat a lot of organ meat, as we found out. So
right.
He's had liver sandwich and grilled spleen and all kinds of stuff.
Never-ending breadsticks.
Yeah.
As they do.
He did say, he said, "Dad, I haven't seen one breadstick this whole time." I said, "I'll take it to Olive Garden when you get home."
Yeah. Because when you're at Olive Garden, your family.
Your family.
So
but yeah, they're in Rome. They're in Rome right now.
Yeah. So coffee. He enjoyed coffee.
Oh, he's loving coffee.
He liked organ meat.
Mm-hmm.
And then, what do you think takeaway number 3 is going to be?
He likes travel.
Yeah. And when are we going to get a picture of him with his knuckle duster?
I don't know. It'll be sometime soon.
Okay.
First off, he has to get home so I can see it.
Right.
But he got a ring.
He did.
Is what you're alluding to.
Yes.
He got himself a big old ring.
He did in
awesome fashion
with a giant Sicilian eagle on it.
Yep.
So for anybody who wants to send a certified letter, we've got a wax seal from Kale that we can stamp on it.
I'm definitely going to try that.
From here on, yeah, just see if it'll work.
I hope it's actually ridged. It's not just,
flat print.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll see. But they're doing good. We're doing good.
Yep. At Levi, everybody wants Levi updates.
I will say
Go
this,
ahead.
just real quick. On New Year's Eve, we FaceTimed.
Right.
This was funny to me. On
Okay.
New Year's Eve, we FaceTimed. They're 7 hours ahead, so it was
Oh, yeah.
5 p.m. my time. So they
Right.
had just turned. The clock had just hit for midnight. Everyone's celebrating. They called and they said it sounds like a gunfight. And they said they're shooting a lot of guns.
Yeah.
And so
Because this is Sicily, where laws are more like guidelines.
Yeah. So while on FaceTime, I saw an old grandpa walk out onto his balcony and pull a revolver out and just ga 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 ga, just right in the air. And I went, yeah, I think Sicily is kind of what we all thought.
Yeah. Now, please get back inside.
The only thing he didn't do was like cover that gun in tape and then toss it
and then toss
at
it
the
into
end.
the river. Yeah. He didn't like have a horse head. He was like trying to chunk into the hotel room.
Right.
Yeah.
He didn't leave the cannoli.
Yeah. Well, womp womp.
Yeah. But they're having a good time.
Yeah, and several people have asked for Levi updates. He's doing great. He's
How's
eating.
Levi?
Yeah, he's eating. He's getting bigger. We got some wonderful pictures of you holding him for the first time, which is
What's first
cool.
pictures of me holding him?
Yeah, first pictures.
Because I have held him before.
Oh, okay, cool.
Heather did not.
Oh yeah, ooh.
This was her first time.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, we got some good photos. That it was his
was
first.
awesome.
Yeah, his first outing to the Gibson household.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, where we what do we do? We watched
We-
Bullet
we-
Train
we
and
made- we
listened
made-
to him be fussy.
We made a ham.
We did.
I don't remember whether it was.
We had
it
a
was-
and we saw one man be arrested during his succulent Chinese meals. So this is
Go check out
Democracy
Moody.
Manifest. Moody Molavi. Without any further ado, I see you know your judo well.
I'm
On our sweet clean airwaves today, Whip.
Yeah.
Is a man who helped us endure the extreme blizzard of 2021. It is the Dry Bar headliner. Also, thanks to Zanies, one of the newest headliners that's got a special coming out from there. It is the man, the mirth, the legend himself. It's Moody Molavi. What's going on?
You're talking about me?
Yes. Who'd you think I was introducing?
I don't know.
I get one sugar daddy.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what you get. You get a single sugar daddy.
Gosh. What's up, Moody?
Do you like sugar daddies?
That's a
You like
loaded
the
question.
candy.
Only ones with money, which this one is not.
Oh,
But doesn't that get like stuck onto your teeth? And
look at
like,
that.
yeah.
I'm getting several candies
What the?
over here. What do you have? Oh, and you get some Whoppers.
I'll trade all of this for one nerds.
No, I'm sorry. So,
All right.
So
I guess we're
Moody.
done with the candy thing.
yeah, Moody, talk to us a little bit about what's been going on in your world in the last
tell us what's
year
been,
and a half.
Tell us what's been going on in your world.
Yeah, and this is what's happening in Moody's neck of the woods.
Primarily corporate work. Churches. I love doing churches
Yeah.
because they don't think they can laugh at the building, you know.
Yeah.
And a lot of preachers are like, man, I got some jokes I want to tell you. Well, I'll tell you the scripture. You know, kind of like, well, you.
Lucas.
So
Yeah, that felt a little bit targeted.
yeah.
Uh huh. That's okay.
You got to open with the joke. You got to.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
I go to different churches and they all pretty much do the same thing. And I don't know, I like it because people are like, I can't believe you just said that. And even with the special that I did, my entire life group came from Murfreesboro to Zanies in Nashville,
What's that
And-
drive? What's the distance there?
28.7 miles.
Oh, well, there you go. Drove about a half hour.
Yeah. That's not too bad. That ain't too
Yeah,
bad.
that's not too bad. As the crow flies.
That ain't too bad on a Friday.
Yeah. So they showed up. And then like probably over 40 people from my work showed up.
Nice.
And
Did you
the
try to keep
funny-
those groups separate? That's my nightmare.
No, they're pretty much they're right on top of each other.
My nightmare is two different groups that I exist in separately coming together and talking.
Danley likes a good
like that.
separation of work, life.
I like church and state to be separate.
Yeah. Also, he prefers his wife and his child not talk. There's a lot of things that he likes separate.
I learned this concept of pods with Etta May many years ago.
Edamame?
No, just Etta May.
Okay.
So she had said, you got different pods of people. You got pods of like your people that you know from high school or people you know from work or church or comedy or whatever. And it's just really weird when they come together and now you've got people from different pods in the same room with you. And so that's what it was like. And my favorite.
At least all these people were paying for a ticket.
What now?
At least all these people were paying for a ticket, right?
Yeah, everybody paid for a ticket.
That's good.
That might change things. If everyone came and got together and paid me about $20.
If you get $5 a head, it would change things about whether or not you wanted to mix your friend groups.
I'd mix them all up at that point.
Yeah, okay.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
My favorite reaction after the show was this guy, Tommy, who's a colonel in the Alabama Air National Guard. He's a proper dude. I mean, he's laid back and all, but I mean, he's got he knows the political stuff. Like, this is what you do, what you don't do.
Yeah.
And after the show, I caught him. As he was leaving, he goes, "I speak to a lot of people, but I can't do what you did. I mean, you just laid it all out."
Hey, did you, or were you keeping some in reserve?
Oh, you just laid it all out there.
I'm sure my family's gonna hate it when it comes to
Oh man, that's so great.
So when is it coming out?
Now, if this is a dry bar special, another one?
No. This is
Okay, so you have more control over this then. Yeah, at least I'm guessing.
Yeah.
He keeps laying out on me.
This one was recorded. I'm not going to answer anything but dry bar.
Okay.
10-4.
Yeah.
This one was recorded by 800-pound gorilla.
That's a large gorilla.
It's huge. And I met them, I think it was summer of 2021. My friend Dale Jones, which you guys need to reach out to.
Okay.
My friend Dale Jones had just done a recording with them in McCurdy's in Florida. And I reached out and said, "Hey, so you recorded my buddy Dale, and I was wondering if you'd be interested, with me recording with you. I live in the Nashville area." They're like, "Yeah, we'd love to record you." I was like, "Oh, okay, cool."
Yeah, that's easy.
I never thought that would be the reaction. Just because I'm not a normal comic. I work, 40 hours a week. I travel all over the place, and I do my work on the road sometimes, mostly out of this room, but I do go on the road. Like next week I'll be on the road, and so I travel in the afternoons and I stay at hotels and I work and then I travel in the afternoons, and so instead of making an 8-hour trip to get somewhere, I'm making 4-hour trips in the afternoons, so it's more costly, but hey,
you literally have it all with 4-hour trips.
Yeah, with 4-hour trips.
That's your secret.
The 8-hour trips are brutal, dude.
I won't ever do an 8-hour trip again. I hate flying. I did a show in St. Cloud, which is right outside of Orlando. Mm-hmm. And so it was so hysterical because we left, and this is when my back was probably hurting the worst. We decided to fly. We left the house at 11 a.m. Central. And we got to the hotel at 2 a.m. Eastern.
Whoa.
And
2 a.m.?
Yeah, so we drove down to
you may as well just
Airport.
not have a hotel at that point.
Yeah, right.
So parked, and then got on, went through the whole security thing. And the terminal in Nashville isn't too far away from security check-in, so it's not a big deal. But, man, you landed in Atlanta? Oh, you're not on the right concourse. You got to go walking down this concourse, grab a little
nightmare
shuttle, go to the next concourse. And then when you get to Orlando, this was during COVID, so they only used one side of the entire airport. They have A and B, and you landed in B. You got to walk all the way to A to exit, but then you have to walk around to the side of B where the car rentals are, and they got to wait 2 hours to get your car. Then you got to walk a mile to go get the car. So by the time we got to the hotel, I had over 11,000 steps because of flu.
Good grief.
Oh, wow.
You could have walked.
I could have just got in my car and drove to Orlando. You know, it'd have been a 10.5-hour trip with stops because, you know, I'm over 40 and that bladder isn't what it used to be. And then got to the hotel way earlier than 2, and I probably would have had maybe 600 steps the whole day. It would have been
unbelievable.
a lot better on the
Would have
old
been
back.
better in
Yeah,
one
no
regard.
joke.
Less steps.
Way cheaper. The car rental was $400 for 4 days. It was so crazy.
That's wild.
Well, it's. I am curious because you mentioned your back.
please.
You mentioned your back in a previous your previous special. You famously have a bit that you do that was very, very funny, and it turns out, you know, as you revealed, that it was all a exercise. It was an attempt to stretch your lower back. How is your back doing?
It's better now. I'm losing weight, and that's the key piece is the weight. And you know, fat guys don't want to admit that, but the way it works
I'm
is,
certainly
let's
not
say
admitting it.
this is a regular fella,
Yeah.
right? And let's say this is me, the stomach. This is stomach. We'll do that.
Okay. This is a great visual.
When you have too much belly, it pulls that spine onto your sciatic nerve where the busted disc is.
Oh, man.
So if you reduce the belly, and then it's not pulling against that spine, and it's not pulling against that disc, and so your sciatic nerve is not nearly as bad.
And then you turn into this guy right here
Which guy? The remote?
with no belly.
If only, man. You know, I've been doing all sorts of weight loss stuff since I was 12, and hate it. Sucks.
Yeah.
One thing, I was doing a show in Birmingham for a church, and after the show, this little couple, little tiny people, you know, like I could probably put them in my pocket and shake them around or something, and just tiny people. This lady comes up to me, and her husband's not talking, just her. She goes, "Hey, it looks like you're really happy up there, but when you're ready to be truthful about your health,
Oh, my gosh.
call me. My husband and I are health coaches," and she gives me this card, and it says, I believe it's Activia, and fat people know these things. We've done every diet.
Yeah.
And Activia, if I'm saying it right, it's like a part of Herbalife. And the only thing you have to do to become a life
When you're ready to get serious, join a pyramid scheme.
right. So the only thing you have to do to become a health coach is pay $200 for their kit. So all of a sudden you're a health coach. I could be a health coach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Listen to me. I'm telling you what's going to work. What not? I mean,
You're a health coach the same way that all the ladies at our church that sell essential oils are doctors.
oh, you know, I saw a comic. I
dare
don't know who it
admit
was. I was thumbing through TikTok, and he was talking about we took the word snake and we replaced it with essential.
Yeah. Yeah, that's basically what happened.
So good. But anyway, so she tells me that she and her husband are health coaches, and when I want to get serious about my health, let them know. And at this point, I'd started working with Vanderbilt University to, going through a weight loss regimen with them. And I said, I appreciate them under a doctor's care. I've been doing this for a while. I do like health coaches. I do.
Right. Yeah, yeah.
I like to put a little Danos on them. They are delicious. So if you wouldn't mind, put a little bit more meat on your bones. It'd be it'd be worth it.
Yeah.
I'm trying to stay away from sugar.
So they left, and they didn't buy any merch. Really?
See, now that's the thing. If they really, really wanted you to be serious about stuff, they ought to get themselves a human I thank you shirt.
I was thinking the same thing.
There you go. Right? There's no better way to show that you care than putting $5 just right into his pocket. That's the best way to do it. So you're doing stuff with Vanderbilt University? How did you get hooked up with that? What's that like?
I am fat.
Hello, fat nerd.
Okay, so
I can build computer.
They can tell how much I weigh just over the phone. That's how advanced they are. They're like, what are you, 400?
wow.
You sound humongous. You can probably fix all our stuff remote.
We can tell by your vocal cords. They're packed in with a bunch of fat. That's why your voice is at this octave.
Well, see, that explains why they're no good at football. They're busy doing other things in the SEC. So
Listening to people over the phone.
yeah, listening to people over the phone. Well, so the reason I ask is because there's a lot of these types of studies that universities put on that are famous. And one of the biggest ones, actually, Malcolm Gladwell did a whole series on this recently. Have you heard this? The starvation.
I have no idea.
Okay, so during World War II, if you were a conscientious
Objector.
I
know this word.
right? Yeah. If you're a conscientious objector, there was another thing that you could do to help your country, right? And all these guys
Hacksaw
signed
Ridge.
up for it. They lived in like this dormitory that was built underneath the football stadium at the University of Minnesota, and for 6 months they starved so that they could study the effects of starvation on these guys, to look at what the soldiers would have to deal with coming back and how they could re-nourish people coming off of living in concentration camps. And these guys, they were allowed like 2 pieces of bread a day, and the only other thing they could drink other than water was coffee. And so they're getting like super, they're 4 or 5 months where they haven't
So they're
had a
starving
good meal.
and really nervous.
And so they're having these like full on mental breakdowns.
Life is weird, isn't it?
It's bizarre.
Sounds like my childhood.
Yeah, so that's what this
can
is
have
what I'm
2
getting
pieces
at.
of
Like
bread.
when you
You gotta
say,
sleep
"Oh,
under the
I'm
field."
yeah," when you say, "Oh, I'm going to do something at Vanderbilt University," and they're working with me on my weight, I immediately go, "Moody, I want to talk to you about the University of Minnesota. Be very careful." So, but those guys had to go and sign up for it. The other things that have been done as far as like weight loss and muscle gain and those kind of things, they're very particular as far as like how they select their people. This was just a phone call. What's the program like? I'm totally fascinated with this now. You don't have to talk about it if you don't want to. It's up to
The
you.
audio just went weird.
Yeah.
But,
Oh, cool.
they didn't ask me about anything about muscle. I wasn't in that group, so there's that. However, when I got, oddly enough, in October 29th, 2020,
Oh, right.
my diverticulitis flared back up. And normally, I call my doctor back in Chattanooga. I'm like, it's back. It would come like twice a year. I've been hospitalized 4 times in 7 years with it, and it just got to the point that he would call in the antibiotics, and there's like 2 different pills that I take, and within 24 hours it goes away, and it starts going back to the diverticulosis. So diverticulosis is a condition, itis is the infection, perforation if it doesn't get treated very soon, and then you die. So it's basically osis, itis, whole die. So I'm at the itis, and it's not getting any better. He called the meds in, and nothing's happening, nothing's working. And then I'm debating going to the emergency room. And while I'm on hold, calling his office, 2 days later, my wife goes, "What's that in the back of your leg?" I was like, "I don't know." She goes, "Well, there's a huge hole in the back of your leg." Like, well, that's your fault. You tell me. That's why we're married. You tell me what stuff behind me. I don't look back there. That's why I had you. And she said, "Well, you never told me about stuff behind me." Like, that's right. That's the other part of the equation.
Yeah, no, that's not the husband's job. Right.
Yeah.
That's not going to happen. Mm-hmm. So it turns out it was a brown recluse bite.
Oh,
And
dang.
The necrosis wasn't healing. And I'm a very quick healer. And the fact that nothing was healing was just weird. So we go to the ER in Vanderbilt, and I'm waiting like 3 hours, 4 hours. I'm like, listen, I'm afraid I've got diverticulitis, and it's been 2 days. Now this is the 3rd. I'm afraid it's going to go into perforation. I'm going to die here in your waiting room. Like, oh, okay, we work here. Like, I could have said this 4 hours ago.
Yeah.
So whatever. So we get there. They do the COVID test, and I'm in this. They take me down this ridiculously long hall, down this other wing, because they were just packed with people. And it's this glassed in, I guess, exam room or whatever. Maybe it was an old ICU unit or something. I don't know. And they were just the kindest people. There were students in Vanderbilt, and they're very amicable. And so 11 hours later,
Whoa.
they slammed the door shut, and they go, "You got COVID."
What?
Yeah. I didn't know. And so they get all in their hazmat suits, and this one lady comes in and she's raking me over the coals, like, "Where'd you get it?" I'm like, "I don't know." Like, "What have you been around?" Like, "I don't know. I just stay at home. I go to the gym, and maybe it was a spider. I got a brown recluse bite.
Yeah, there you go.
I don't know." So they whisked me out of. They were going to put me in internal medicine or something, but they took me to the COVID floor, which was so far away, and it took two people. One guy pushing me in a wheelchair, not a stretcher, but a wheelchair, and another guy with a can of Lysol going, "COVID coming through! COVID coming through!"
Shame.
There's no hint of
Shame.
Shut up. Really? They're fogging you in and out.
And then they shut me in this room, and they shut the door. And then to get to this room, we went around this whole thing of biohazard waste cans that hadn't been, dealt with. I don't know how long, but it was just blocking all the hallways, and put me in a room. And they shut the door, and there was no cover. There was a little sheet. There was no cover, and I'm freezing. And I never got a cover the whole time I was there. But in the ER, they kept bringing me a cover like every hour, like stacking them up.
Right.
So
no covers, but they had the shame nurse from Game of Thrones.
I had brown recluse bite that wouldn't heal. I had diverticulitis that wouldn't heal. I had double pneumonia. So yeah, it was. My pastor actually got stuff for my wife and took a duffel bag and brought it to the hospital. I had to go through all the security stuff to bring it to me and drop it off. And he's like, "Man, what did you do?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" Because there's a lot of things going on at one time. I said, "I don't know, man. Maybe there was that sale on the Book of Job."
As I was falling down with a heart attack, I got bit by a spider. And
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
yeah,
I think it came down to a guy named at the gym that I refer to as I Am 5. He's probably in his early 60s, but he's najis. In Farsi, it's called najis, which means absolutely disgusting.
Not just.
Najis.
Najis. He's najis.
So we have like Jess and like, nah, najis.
Not just. No.
It means absolutely filthy.
Eh.
And this guy would like
he
would snot rockets in the shower. He was just a
Snot
gross
rockets?
individual. So if I get it from anybody, it was from I Am 5. Because he acts like a little 5-year-old, but he's in a 60-year-old body.
He's najis.
Najis. That is his name, Najis.
Yeah. Nah.
It sounds like a city.
Not him.
So, but you think, is that where you got it? You stepped on a snot rocket in the shower at the gym?
No, I mean, it's like you would be in the shower and you would see all this stuff and it's coming from him because anytime he's in the shower, he's going to he's making those machine gun. Yeah, see, that look right there? That's exactly what we go through in the gym.
I got
with
it.
I Am 5. So,
Yeah, that's pretty gross.
I love that. That's
disgusting.
classic. I tell that and you just went. Yes, that's exactly what I felt.
Well, I'm glad you survived, buddy.
Yeah.
That is a lot to go wrong at once. I agree.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's quite Job level, but it's
at least the
it's
first-
on the way.
It's the
not,
first
but
few chapters.
It's on the way.
It's the first few chapters of Job.
Yeah,
what's your suffering in terms of Job? Like, I got to chapter 3.
We would need something to happen. I don't wish this. Okay, I'm just saying we would need something in order for it to be Job. We would need something to happen to.
He Googled Job.
We would need something to happen to
That's not fair.
Mahagakantani.
Okay, what?
Mahagakantani.
My dog's name?
Yeah.
Yes.
Mohagekhatani.
Can you say that? Mohagre.
You have to get this. It's got the two hardest consonants.
Those are pretty tough.
Yeah, no
Farsi.
doubt. That's pretty tough.
It's the whole point.
Mo.
The point of her name is to be difficult to say, and I won't say it in public. So if she runs out of this house, she just goes gallivanting. Because if I did, all my Middle Tennessee neighbors would go, "I need Homeland Security. I heard terrorists in my street."
They activated the Middle Eastern soldier. Then boom.
That
There
is
it goes.
why she has the name. So
Sometimes it's if you hear something, you got to say something too, right?
Yeah.
That's
So
right. Say something. Hear something.
say it again slowly so that we can attempt this.
Mohagekhatani.
Mohagekhatani.
Mohagekhatani. Pretty close.
Mohagheghatani. Or so much like.
That is a very cool name.
I don't think I've
gotta
had
say.
enough to drink to be able to pull off some of that stuff.
You need some matzah first.
So we had a friend of yours, the fabulous June Colson, on. We were talking to her, and we were like, yeah, Moody came to the church. We're friends with his, and she's like, hey, do you know how to say his dog's name? We're like, no, we don't. But we were planning on having him on. She's like, yeah, if you could have him say that would be real nice. Just tell him. You can even tell him Junebug wants him to say his dog's name, because I've tried it like several times, and I'm pretty sure a hot dog's gonna pull a gun on me next time I try to do it. I was like, well, there you go.
That's right. It's
She's
Yeah.
so
no one's
fantastic.
gonna take my dog. As a matter of fact, she's right under me right now, so I don't know why.
So does
She
like
can't-
what do other people call your dog whenever they come into your home?
You say call her Mo for short?
her kennel name,
Okay.
which is they gave her the kennel, is Maddie. But we have
Does she
a Maddie in our
respond to that?
family, and I don't want to call her a dog, so I don't call her Maddie. I call her Mohagheghatani. Or if I say she
Come here.
that's it. And I don't know even how it happened. It's like she's right up on me. Like, yo, what's going on? Come here.
Yeah, let's see.
Say salam.
Hey, girl. Oh, what a pretty pup.
Yeah, she is. She's pretty. She's a beauty. That's a pretty girl right there.
My little buddy. She's my little buddy.
You know, dogs are fantastic.
Go be cat somewhere.
Cats?
Yeah, so you have mentioned that your dog is more of a cat than it is a dog.
Yes, she
Why?
acts like a cat, which is why I made the name Khat Mohagheghatani.
Okay, so what does that mean? Now that we've determined it means nothing.
It literally, I said, what are the two hardest sounds to say? There we go. So,
So
and
how is she?
everybody in our family has an M name, so Mohaghegha, and everybody has to end with it. Ani kind of sound like Molavi, Ani. So
Okay.
Mohagheghatani, so just created.
Well, how is she
Like,
like
hey,
a cat?
I
While
felt like
try to
the
get this sugar
postmaster
daddy?
general. Like, hey man, I need a zip code. Where?
Where?
Over there. Is 92178 available? Sure, it's yours. And then you just make it up as you go.
So how is the dog like a cat?
Oh, because she paws at you and she'll climb on the couch, on the back of the couch, and around your shoulders. It's
Yeah,
she's
that
like
is
cat.
very odd cat-like behavior.
I know, it's the weirdest thing.
Is she like that with your son and your wife, or is it just with you?
No, everybody. Yeah, she's acts like a cat.
Weird.
The reason our couches have sags on the top is because she hangs out there on top of the
And
couch.
sits just on top of the couch?
Yep.
Wild. Okay. The last time we chatted, your dry bar special had just gotten close to 1 million views. You were seeing a lot of like online success, and then boom, the pandemic happens. When we talked to you, we did it from my brother's garage. Like Danley was at home, I was at my brother's garage. We didn't have
Winter
power at our
apocalypse.
house. Yeah, we didn't have 2021.
2021.
Yeah, so we didn't have power at our house for a few days. What has your journey kind of back into comedy been like since the pandemic, is quote unquote over, right? Or at least since restrictions and things have been lifted. Are you finding yourself going back to clubs? Are you doing more corporate and church gigs, or are you finding that you're just like, hey, does it feel like you're starting over in some respects?
I think it's like a starting over, but with a different car. Where I grew up with a Honda Accord, the 1989 Honda Accord, and now I'm starting the journey with 2021 Volkswagen Atlas. It's just there's more experience, there's more understanding what makes sense. You don't say yes to everything.
Yeah.
I would have gigs like, hey man, can you come down and do a show in Atlanta and do a show in Savannah? We'll pay $200 a night. And you take care of travel. And in the old day, in the Honda Accord, I'd say, yeah, well, let's go do this. But, now I have a business. And so if that business isn't viable, the IRS isn't going to let me keep it as a business. They're going to call it a hobby, and I won't be able to, write off any of the stuff that I need to write off when I do the travel. Like I'm trying to book this gig in New Mexico right now, and it's just financially it doesn't make any sense right now. So unless they up it up or take it up a little bit more, so I don't do comedy clubs as much unless I get the door. If I'm doing a door deal, then it makes sense to do it. But what you miss in a comedy club is that instant energy, that focus on the speaker. Whereas corporate, you're out in this ballroom, you got 300, 400, 500, 600 people, depending on what it is, and it's bright lights. There's no focus, so there's no energy, and they're not. And it's not like they decided, hey, let's go do a comedy show. No, they're attending a conference, and whoever set up the conference is throwing a comic up there. Right. Versus at a comedy club, they're like, let's go to a comedy show. So they're ready for it. They understand for it. They're ready to go. So, but financially, I can't make the comedy club numbers work to be viable as a business. And so the whole purpose of our company, Moodivation, is to spread that the story of Human I Thank You, the story of taking the LSD, which is the least stressful decision for those that don't know.
Yeah.
And to do that, it costs money. And so to work this as a business, you got to say no to the lower hanging fruit. You know what I'm saying?
I get like you mentioned, not going to Atlanta. That has a significant personal investment. I am curious if you're saying you don't do very many clubs unless you get some of the door. How do you work on new material? Like how do you get that feedback from new?
It's really hard. And it's not that I don't want to work clubs. I don't go pursue clubs because clubs don't know me. Corporate, I've got more clout in corporate because I do more corporate and the booker that has me, he's got the surveys and stuff people had on me. So he's getting the shows for me more than anything. I very rarely book my own corporate shows, but when I do, it's pretty sweet. But to pursue the comedy stuff, to go out or the comedy clubs, they have to know you. If they don't know you, your social media presence better be skyrocketing. I mean, so that's all the YouTubers that have massive social media stats are getting comedy club evenings or headlining gigs because they put butts in seats, and then financially it makes more sense for the comedy club to book them.
Yeah, we were having this conversation. I forget who we were talking to about it, but that there is this new kind of shift in, particularly in live comedy. Club will throw you up as a headliner, and so now you have all of these people that are headlining clubs that have never actually done stand up before. They've done these really great comedy sketches that they spend time writing and editing. They got a bunch of followers on YouTube. And they've got a bunch of followers because, like you said, they're going to put butts in seats. What's that like being a guy who has, come up through the ranks? You've learned how to work the rooms. You've been in comedy competitions. You've been at this for several years. Seeing some of those guys take those headlining spots, is there a little bit of I don't want to say, I think sour grapes is the wrong term, but is there, kind of a little bit of tension between like the comics that are constantly working and then those that kind of get put in those positions?
I think the word is animosity.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
So I think anybody that tells you that they're not jealous of another comic getting stage time, they're either lying to themselves or they're lying to you. Because anybody that's in the industry, no matter what it is if someone else has the opportunity, you don't have it. A human trait is, well, that sucks. Why is it me? How come I don't get the things? And you, to me, that's the spiritual warfare. That's where the devil gets in your heart and makes you want to put out someone else's candle, versus letting yours shine bright. Oddly enough, I can't remember who said that. Is a female comic. I was thinking Amy Schumer, but I don't think so. I think someone else. But it was a very poignant thing. It's like, don't make your candle, your light brighter by putting someone else's out. That's one of the things that you think through. So
I think that was Amy Schumer.
Someone that doesn't go through the ranks, getting the headline gig, does that bother you? I mean, yeah, initially because you're human, but I mean, at the end of the day, it's a business. And you can't fault them because I don't know their struggle. I don't know what they've been doing. I don't know, most of them aren't instant overnight successes. It's just finally one of the videos worked.
Right.
I think Amy
Something
Schumer
out of the
did say
blue
that,
finally
but
worked.
she stole it.
Bust their butts to get that stuff out there.
Yeah.
And I have respect for anybody that does social media and is gaining as many followers. Like Mr. Beast, that dude is amazing.
Yeah.
He's breaking all sorts of barriers, thinking through all sorts of stuff, just being super smart about it. Like the whole thing where he was on Joe Rogan's podcast and he said, how many followers do you have? And it was twice as much as what Joe thought he had, because he decided to get his stuff translated and published in different countries. And all of a sudden, he just doubled. He didn't have to create new video, new content. He just got it translated. And it's like he just built brand new channels out of thin air because he already had all the content. That's smart.
Yeah.
But to build content, like I tried to build the content. I've got so much material that's recorded that I could create shorts from, but it takes a lot of time. You guys know this. You do editing stuff. But I mean, I work a full-time job, man. So I got a wife. It's my sister. That's stressful. And I got kids, and my nephews, and my mom has a mother-in-law. There's so much stuff going on.
That alone,
Right, yeah.
15%
Just
of the time,
getting the
off the
gig
top.
and booking
like
the
the
gig is
Whitakers.
hard enough, let alone trying to build social media, which I'm still going to try to do. But the people that do this, they work really hard at it. I mean, they work really hard at it. There's a kid in my neighborhood. It's comical to watch. He walks around with his phone in front of him like this all day, and that's him. That's what he's doing.
Yeah.
And I hope that he gets whatever followers he wants to get. And if he gets, if it's a comedy thing, he gets in the comedy club and they pack it in and the comedy club's making money, it's their business. It's their house. They do what they need to do. I have respect for that too.
Yeah.
So I can't be mad at that because I'm trying to provide for my family. I'm trying to do everything I want to do. If I had my wishes come true, or my prayers come true or to fruition, it would be that I can make enough money with motivation to fund some nonprofits that I want to build.
Yeah.
And that's the whole purpose of what we're doing. I like to make people laugh, but I really want to send a message and also get people to fund nonprofits that I think would make a lot of sense.
So your motivation for doing comedy then is very different than a lot of people's, because there are so many, and I want to say entertainers, right? Because I think that that's more realistic. I sat down with a couple of comic friends of ours to dinner a few weeks ago, and there were some things that one of the guys in particular was like, well, a comedian's the only person that deals with this, and a comedian's the only person that deals with this, and blah, blah, blah. And so as we're talking about it, there's several other people that were there, pastors, some guys that are in the music industry, a guy that was a public speaker. And one of the guys stopped him and said, hey, anybody that's on a stage deals with this sort of stuff, right? Whether it's the pressure of the spotlight, whether it's, depression or, like really harsh self-evaluation, like whatever those things are.
How about imposter syndrome?
Yeah, imposter syndrome's another one of those big ones. But the thing is, if your motivation is purely to pursue and to fulfill your own dream, if your motivation is purely to, bank money or that this is what your family's livelihood is based off of, that's a very different sort of type of pressure that I think is on someone than, hey, you know what, I'm doing this in order to build this other thing, in order to create something that, provides for other people and that is able to do that. I don't think that there's one that's more one way or more the other. Was there a shift for you where you went from like, hey, this is what I want to do full time to provide for my family, to, this is what I'm going to do in order to kind of create the funding for our foundation? And if there was that shift, what was, sort of the follow up to that would be, what was the pressure like on you as it shifted from one thing to the next?
I went to the Comedian Comic Association. What is CCA?
The CCA, the Christian
Comedian
Comics
Association.
Yeah, which we're not allowed to be a part of because we're not comedians.
Neither is Ben Shapiro.
Yeah, we applied to the CCA and we were told you're very funny, but you're not comedians.
Yeah.
So I went there.
Yeah, sweet.
And,
Thank you.
2018, I believe it was.
Okay.
I met a guy. He was doing a session. His name was Al Smith out of Pennsylvania.
Okay.
And he had a real poignant message that said, if God gives you the opportunity to be on a stage, then don't waste that just trying to get laughs. God has a message on your heart, share it. Find a way to share it while you're up there. You know, you get their attention and then you share it, and then it just the light bulb went off. And that's where Hugh and I Thank You started was, wow, this is something I talked about before, but really to be the premise of why I do each show, that's what I wanted to do. And, you know, I work in IT. I make a decent living at it. It provides for my family. And the people that I work with, they support my comedy as well. And I couldn't ask for a better thing. So when people ask me, anybody in the comedy industry asks me this question, it takes less than a second for me to lose their attention. You know, so, you're working full time? Like, no. I've got this other job, you know, it provides very well. I'm not going to leave it. And when you say that to them, they're like, oh. And you're just discounted right there. Like, well, you ain't a real comic. You know, like, okay. But I work as much as any full-time comic.
Right.
I just do it more calculated. You know, it's like I travel quite a bit, but instead of going and doing a week in a city doing these comedy clubs for X amount of dollars, I can make double, triple that by going there one day and leaving.
I don't know how many comedians I've heard. I mean, off the top of my head, Bert Kreischer, I think Bill Burr, Tom Segura, that have made jokes about, you know, like I work, like my life is better, you know, than yours. I work 15 minutes a day, or I work an hour a day. That I come out of the hotel and into here, and I just tell jokes, and then I leave. That's not a full-time job. You know, that's a fantastic job. That's fantastic.
Right. Yeah,
That's
yeah.
not a full-time job. A full-time
Well,
job
you know,
is...
the story of the boat fixer, you know, where everybody had a
Theseus'
tried to
ship.
fix his boat, couldn't fix his boat, and then
Jason and the
they hired
Argonauts.
this, what now?
Which one?
He's being a doofus.
And so they hired this guy to come fix the boat. Finally, he's the only person who can fix his boat, but all he did was take out a hammer and hit it in this perfect little spot, and all of a sudden the boat works.
There you go.
And he gives him an invoice for $10,000. I'm like, well, I'm not paying $10,000 for that. It only took you 1 second. This invoice me. He's like, okay, so knowing where, you know, to hit it with the hammer 10 cents, but knowing
Fixing
where to hit it was like $9,999.90. I think that's where people don't understand. Like, I've had many corporate gigs say no to me because they think it's too expensive,
Yeah.
and that's fine. They're like, you want how much for 45 minutes? That's crazy. And I said, it's okay. He goes, well, I might as well just go up there and do the jokes. Like, that's cool. You go and do them. Well, I can't do that. I know you can't do that because I've spent years and years and years and years telling a joke, realizing it doesn't work really well that way, changing a word, going back and chewing it again. So yeah, you might be on stage for, you know, an hour at a time, but it's a lot more work than a full-time job. And I was just having this conversation today, as a matter of fact. So I'm working 40 hours a week doing what I do for the government. And then
Government.
it sounded really ominous. Listening to my Farsi accent.
It sounded very convincing.
40 hours a week, yeah, doing what I do for the government.
For
And
the
then I
government.
come over here in Middle Tennessee, do my thing.
Right.
But you're constantly writing stuff. You're constantly trying stuff. And typically I try my material on the people that I work with. Or I was on a call with a group of people, and the doorbell goes off. Well, Hathani freaks out, you know. And I have to go answer this because I've got ADHD. This is a great example. I'm moving off one subject to another one, but as an example.
Sure.
And it's our next door neighbor. Her child is selling Girl Scout cookies.
Okay.
And I said, she goes, well, would you like a cookies? Oh, for Girl Scouts. Like, that's not going to sell me. I'm the fattest guy in your neighborhood. Sell me. Sell me. I'm the one that's going to buy everything you got. Sell it to me. But you got to work for it.
Yeah.
Make me want to have it. Like, I don't know what that means. I said,
Do
okay,
you
let's
do you
try
like
this.
peanut butter?
Let's try this again.
Yes.
Never ask a question, a yes or no question. Ask them how much they want. Like, how many do they want to order? So you say, I love this particular. I love the Samoas. Have you tried the Samoas? They're amazing.
Favorite one.
How many would you like? That's how you sell it. And she goes, and her mom's out there at the sidewalk just shaking her head because she knows who I am, and she knows I mess with people all the time. And so she doesn't know what to do. I said, I'm going to shut this door, and you're going to ring the doorbell again, and then we're going to do this the right way. And so I shut the door, and I knock on the door myself. I'm like, who is it? She's like, I don't know. It's like, we're doing this backwards. So I shut it again. And so she rings the doorbell, and she goes, hi, I like the Samoas. You should try them. How many do you want? And I was like, I'll take 10.
It's perfect, yeah.
And so I get off of that, and it's pretty funny, And so I'm writing a bit in my head about this as I'm doing it.
Yeah.
And then I realize I'm still on this conference call, and there's 20 people that just saw what I did at work. And they are rolling. Like, he just left us. Like, wow, it's my neighbor's kid.
So sorry.
Did you come back with 10 Samoa boxes? Or she probably didn't have that many on her, I'm guessing.
No, you pre-order.
Yeah.
You know what's
That's
really
too bad.
funny? There's an algorithm of New Year's resolutions and Girl Scout cookies. And I believe what happens is people start their New Year's resolutions. They go to the gym. And then on February 10th, they stop going to the gym because that's when the cookies arrive.
No joke.
That's when it ends. And if the gyms would just, well, Planet Fitness knows this, but if all the other gyms would know this, sign up for my gym membership, and they know you're going to, February 11th, they're not coming back.
Yeah.
So
No,
I
you're
think comics are working all the time.
Yeah.
But they enjoy what they do. And they're constantly thinking of what's the next joke. Well, I did a show in McMinnville. It was a corporate show. It was in this big gymnasium, and they had the smallest little horrible little fold up chairs. They were like pieces of plastic held together with toothpicks, and it was everybody was uncomfortable. Everybody was like sitting on the edge of their seat, like hoping it wouldn't snap on them. And I was at this table. There was another couple there. Kelly was there. And big bright lights, so you had to be in the banquet part before you go do the show. So I'm out there with these people. They know I'm not part of their crew. They've never seen me before. There's 300 people there, and the lady at the table, you could tell she was tense. She wasn't enjoying this seat. And I said, "Are you afraid you're going to break that seat?" She goes, "Yeah." I said, "Look at me, man. I'm like 3 of you. Listen, have faith. Have faith in these things." I'm leaning back like, there ain't nothing wrong with bam! Just explodes. And that's when we found out I don't bounce. And so I went flat down. The guy from the next table over runs over and like, are you okay? I'm like, don't ask that question. Anytime anybody gets injured, do not ask that question.
That is fascinating that you said that.
And so I get up pretty fast, I guess, because no one else came to help me. The lady at our table was a nurse. And I'm like, wait a second, aren't you a nurse? She goes, yeah. I said, well, why didn't you help me? She goes, I was fast. I'm not fast. And the reality is the new Watch OS, if you're down for too long, EMS comes right to you. And it's a horrible, embarrassing thing.
Well, that's happened to John Piper twice while he's been preaching. It's like, and they've got it on video. Piper he'll be preaching and he'll do something. He's like, no, hold on, everybody. My watch thinks I've fallen and is trying to call emergency, and he'll like have to turn it off in the middle of his sermon because his kids gave him basically Apple Life Alert, and it's thought he was dead twice while he was preaching.
Exactly. Your blood pressure goes through the roof, your heart rate goes through the roof, whatever. So I'm yelling at this lady, this nurse. I was like, well, man, what kind of nurse are you? What do you even nurse? She goes, hospice. Oh. So she's looking at me like, I've never had anyone bounce up like that. Normally when they go down, they're done.
That's it. You grab the blanket and just kind of cover them up and wait for
She goes, I don't have protocol for this. I didn't know what to do. This wasn't in the manual.
Yeah.
You pop right back up. I was like, I don't know. And I remember getting up. I got another chair. And, of course, everybody's looking at me, and they're trying not to laugh because the stranger just busted in front of everybody,
Right.
which everybody was afraid they were going to do. But thank goodness he took the hit. And so I took the chair next to me that I was going to sit on next, and I took it and I forced it into the breast of him. Like, you see him? You do him? I'm going to do the same thing to him. I mean, how do you get out of that?
Right.
You got to play it off. You know, it was like
That
a
way?
free show or something.
Yeah, it sounds like you pulled it off. Okay. I do want to circle back real quick because
my
you
goodness.
mentioned
All right, Jen.
somebody gets Jen.
Jen Psaki with your circle backs.
Oh, don't. So you fall down. I mean, in this case, you weren't injured. So you said, "Oh, you never ask someone if they're okay if they're injured." You didn't. They didn't know you were injured because the reason I bring this up is my father-in-law has the same rule. If he stubs his toe or he gets, trips a little bit, do not ask him if he's okay. And I don't understand that rule.
That's because your father-in-law is J.K. Simmons.
No, but this is shared.
Right.
Why? What
Okay.
are you supposed to ask someone who might be injured?
Obviously, they're not okay. So my son, he was 7 years old when he learned this concept. So
I mean, if someone's shot in the head, I wouldn't go, "Hey, are you okay?"
What
There's
would
a
you
difference.
do? Did you just try to like plug the hole?
At that point, I would make a phone call.
I'm gonna put pressure on here.
I would make a phone
my
call.
7-year-old, he learned this when my ankle snapped coming out of Jason's Deli, and
Yeah, I wouldn't
and
ask if you're okay at that
I tried
point.
to brace myself in this beautiful Cadillac that was sitting right there in the handicap spot where I was snapped my ankle, and as I was going down, it was raining, and that had such an amazing wax job on it that as soon as my hand hit it, I just slipped off, and I fell even faster, and I fell into this puddle of oil and water. Everybody heard the snap, like pow, and then they heard the words that came out of my mouth that it was close to that. It was really bad. And so the manager comes out.
That's where his dog's name came from.
Nasty. And he goes, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "No, man, I'm pretty far from okay," which is from Pulp Fiction, and
Right.
it's a very true statement. Do not ask
That-
if I'm okay. If I'm pretty far from okay,
That's
you
not
see
the
I'm not
actual
okay,
line.
Don't ask that question. So it
pretty
just
close.
makes me angry. And my son asked the same question, like, "What are we supposed to do?" I said, "I don't know. Just tell them, wow, it sucks to be you." So that's what he would do. So I would get hurt. Somebody to get hurt. He goes,
Sucks.
to be you. So that's what you say. It actually is comical, and it relieves the tension in the room, especially when a little kid says it. I had an
Dude, I
incident
would be
where I was
so
being an idiot
mad.
trying to do home repair.
Yep.
I would be
Really?
so mad. Go ahead.
Huh?
I was saying I'd be so mad if
somebody
I
was like-
banged my knee and I fell down. I was like, "Oh!" And someone said, instead of saying, "Hey, are you okay?" And I was even that question is like, "Just leave me alone." But if someone was like, "Sucks to be you," I go, "Are you out of your mind?"
You can say something like, "Ooh, that's gotta hurt," So I don't know.
Yeah,
Words
yeah.
aren't
Okay,
gonna
yeah,
help.
I'm down with
That
that.
works.
Yeah.
What's the point of saying the words? It's not going to help the person. It's just going to help you feel better about
This
the
is the
situation.
same argument I get
I'm
from my
always
father-in-law.
something.
I just always say you're fine.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You tell a kid,
You're fine.
walk it off.
Yeah. That's
This is
exactly
also something that works with little kids. Like, for instance,
Right.
with little kids, when I had younger
Doesn't
brother
work
and
with my
sister,
kid.
and well, he's too young. What you do is if they fall down, you get up and you just say, "Do I need to give the ground a spanking?" You smack the ground, and they start laughing every time.
well.
That's
So
It's good. You should try it.
So one of our mutual friends, right? My friend David Lee, whose dad, he's your usher friend up at the church,
Charlie,
right?
yes.
So Charlie's son and I are working out. I snap my ACL while we're working out, right? And I drop this like 225-pound log.
Sucks to be you.
Metal log, right? David looks at me and he's filming it, right? Because he's filming this lift, and he looks at me and he looks over and he's like, "You good?" I was and I've got the log down. I was like, "Yeah, I'm fine." And then we get up and we wrap the knee, and I wasn't fine. But that's the only reason my wife and I got married, was because of that. Because I got hurt, she got Florence Nightingale syndrome, and now we got a baby.
And you tricked her.
Yeah. There you
You
go.
good?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
good.
fine.
Yeah. My dad, I'm good.
By the way,
Yeah, but I'm wondering, like, are you okay and you good? Like, those
Same
seem
thing.
like
Same thing.
see, to me they're different. Like, you good means, do I need to come help you? Whereas are you okay means, Everything I just heard is obviously like you're not okay.
No one has asked me how my sugar daddy has been this whole time too.
I didn't want to bring it up because it looks disgusting.
It was a terrible decision.
Yeah, for sure. It's awful.
In fact, I think I'm done with it.
Okay, cool.
I just wanted someone to acknowledge it.
We're candy shaming you.
Yeah, for sure. Danley's New Year resolution was to get off sugar, and we're on the 4th. So but he did say he's going to wait until next Monday.
I want to get off the sugars.
The sugars.
I don't want to have diabetes.
Are you the sugars?
Yeah, I'm sugars. And you have those whoppers back.
So you don't like being asked if you're okay. You do write comedy on all hours of the day and night because it is a
that's how
something that happens.
That's what the comedian.
Yeah, that's what
the
comedian does. Unless you're Mitch Hedberg, and this is one of my favorite Mitch Hedberg bits because Mitch Hedberg goes. And I think this was in strategic grill locations or something like that. And he's like, if I think of a joke in the middle of the night, I'll laugh at it and be like, oh, I got to write that down. He goes, or if I'm feeling really tired, then I got to convince myself that what I thought of isn't funny anymore so that I don't have to go and write it down on the other side of the room. So is there, when you're talking about making the least stressful decision, is there material that you kind of, for lack of a better way to put it, sort of leave on the table because you're like, yeah, that's pretty funny, but I don't want to jot that down right now. And then it just kind of disappears.
Yeah, but that's not the LSD. I do that a lot, but that's not the LSD. So
that's
the
not
LSD,
the LSD?
Is not the path of least resistance.
Okay.
You have the past self, who's the coach and knows what you need to do.
Right.
So, because he's seen you fail. He's the one that failed. He knows.
Right.
And the current self, who struggles with selfishness all hours of the day, like, I need to go clean that office, but you justify, I'm like, nah, it can wait. I need to go clean the dishes. I need to go clean the bathroom. I need to go whatever. And you justify so you don't do it. That's not the LSD. The LSD is actually go do it so that the future self isn't stressed out by the inadequacies of his past self, which is right now you. So taking the LSD would be get up and write that bit. Write it down, and then every Sunday at 2:00, whatever your time is, to go through all the bits that you've written down in the middle of the night and try to flush it all out. And that's how you would take the LSD in that way. But I don't. Sometimes I'll think of someone, man, that's good.
That was a good one.
But
man, that sure was good.
And I don't take the LSD. I have to train myself to take the LSD all day long. That's why.
You're supposed to microdose LSD.
What now?
You're supposed to microdose it.
I don't think that's what Timothy Leary
different LSD.
wanted.
Different LSD.
Yeah.
But couldn't it also apply here?
I mean, if you want to
I'm
really
asking the question because I don't know.
If you really want to stretch out this premise,
could you microdose the least stressful decision?
No. Like, what would be a microdose? Like, you only clean a little bit of the office?
Yeah.
But
just like one corner.
You constantly do it.
In that case,
constantly do it.
That's what I do. It's like I give my vid. Sometimes I talk myself into it.
That's a microdosing LSD.
15 minutes.
There you go.
And after 15 minutes, go be lazy again.
Yeah. There you go.
So, yeah.
So now he's got to find an acronym for shrooms because you got to get a gateway to the LSD. So we're gonna go salvia, shrooms, and then right to the least stressful.
And we got to get the army to adopt this so they can give it to their soldiers.
What was that? Have you ever seen the movie The Men Who Stare at Goats?
Yeah. Or the CIA to adopt it.
Yeah.
We need you to start giving your people LSD. It's like, we already did that. No. Least
stressful decision. Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, that's way less interesting to the government that Moody works for. So before we hop into Controlled Rowdiness, I do want to know, you've got the new special coming out. One of the things that you have been doing over the last couple of years is writing new material. And one of the things I think that's so wonderful about your comedy and the reason that it translates so well to, for instance, an online audience is because your jokes are not only universally understood because they have to do with a lot of the human condition and shared experiences that we have as people versus, specific things necessarily. But also that you do have an ability at a live show to do crowd work, but what you do in your specials tends to be something that can translate really, really well. Is this new special, is it one, primarily all new material? And two, how have you seen yourself evolve as a comic from the first special that you did to this one?
It is mostly new material. I did do a few of the older things, but I tweaked them differently.
Okay.
Just because I've been telling them differently for the last year or two. There's a premise I got to bring up because there's so many callbacks that I hit with being married to my sister. So
Right.
I really thought this crowd, there was 171 people in this room, which is a lot for a little comedy club. And I think they held like 250 or something.
Oh, wow.
So it did really well. I knew 150 of them.
Okay.
So I figured they all knew. They didn't know.
Yeah, it's pretty great though.
They don't know I'm
Weird.
married to my sister, right? And they're like, no. It's like, really? I had to go back and tell that joke so they could get on board with it. But okay, whatever. So the new material is a lot more. It's going to seem off the cuff because it was more premises than it was actually written down material.
Okay.
So you're riffing on it a little bit.
Yeah, it's a lot of riff.
That's good. That's fun though.
There was this because there were so many people from work, and they knew how much I struggled going to Vegas and back the week prior on a conference, and how mad I was that I have to prove that I need certain things, like a larger chair at work. Like, no, you gotta get a doctor's note for that.
Oh yeah. No, that's a thing.
You telemedicine. If I tape up the whole screen, then that should be, yep, you're a fatty. You need a bigger chair. It shouldn't be this big of a deal. And so I can't even tell you what I said, but I know I said it because they were like, he went there. So there's a lot of that. There's a lot of that. So I think the difference between what I did before and what I just did was I gave myself the freedom to just talk.
Yeah.
We'll see how it goes. The people that recorded it, they seem to like it. So,
Well, you were paying him.
well, they do all the investment up front. You pay them on the back end.
Okay.
Oh, wow. That's pretty cool.
All I had to do was show up.
That's pretty awesome, man.
Well, I had to sell the tickets, but then I had to show up.
Yeah. But it is,
then-
there's got to be something cool about when you're, and Leanne Morgan mentioned this whenever she was on the show a couple of years ago, is that when you go into a comedy club or when you go to a venue as a comedian and you're an opener, right? It's way different than when you're a headliner. And then when you're a headliner and you go into a venue, that's way different than being the headliner, but when it's your audience. When it's not just like, hey, we showed up to this venue on a Saturday night because we wanted to see comedy. That no, like the place is packed out because it's your people.
They heard you're there.
They want
I
to
gotcha.
be there to see you. And so that's got to be even though, a hometown show and all that kind of stuff, like that's got to be
It's a pretty safe crowd, right?
well, not just that, but like pretty energizing whenever you're on stage when, it is, people that are there to see you where, they're laughing along with the stuff that you're doing and kind of feeding into it, right?
Yes and no. So
Okay.
it's not particularly a safe crowd because you're going to have those people that are your buddies, but they want to be the center of attention.
Oh, they want to be part of the show?
So they already know what you're going to say. And so they beat you to it.
Ooh.
And there's at least one person that'll watch this that'll know I'm talking about you. And so
Thanks,
what the
Charlie.
deal is, and that's what he's going to, that. So, like, dude, shut up. So you really need to keep them on their toes, which is why a lot of it was off the cuff. So, yeah, if you got a hometown crowd that loves you and they're just going to laugh at everything you say, that's helpful. This isn't a hometown crowd. My hometown crowd is in Chattanooga, Tennessee. This is done in Nashville. I don't know anybody in Nashville. So the people that showed up were people that have seen me on and off in Nashville area, and there was at least 70 people there from Chattanooga. So they all drove up to do this show on the middle of the week, and I can't thank them enough. I'm extremely humbled that they made the trek, and it was torrential downpours. Like we had to put a boat propeller on the back of our Volkswagen Atlas just to get back home to Murfreesboro. It was so bad.
Oh, man.
So they came up in it and they left in it. So I can't thank them enough.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing it. Again, I'm excited for your off the cuff stuff because I think you're funny at that. Again, like we talked about in your previous special, my favorite bit, and I don't mean this as an insult. My favorite bit was you in the moment thinking and making something up and just going with it. That was the funniest part to me. So I'm looking forward to this special, man. I'm proud of you. That's awesome.
Thank you. There's a bit about the honey bun guy, and that one got pretty animated, pretty fast.
Yeah.
and the funniest part about that was not ever thought of. It just happened.
Yeah.
You know, it was they were looking for the guy that was there for the colonoscopy, and my mom ratted out this guy eating a honey bun. And so everybody went, crazy and went to go attack this guy in the lobby who's like, and just munching on a honey bun. And meanwhile, the guy they're looking for pops his head in the bathroom. It's like, did someone call my name?
Oh, no.
He has your name.
In my mind, I'm thinking what would be really funny would be to say, you know how to find the guy that's here for colonoscopy? It's the guy that's still leaking. Now it's your guy. Go look for the guy who's leaking and bring him to the table.
Give him some putty.
My buddy, Chris Monholland, he's a musician out of Clarksville. Mm-hmm. He was up front, and he called me the next day. He goes, man, the guy that was leaking, colonoscopy, I never heard anything like that. I said, me neither, man.
That's good.
So, yeah, that's probably my favorite. That's probably my favorite.
You don't need to go by name.
What now?
So yeah, you don't need to go by name. There's other things you can look for to find your patients.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's pretty cool.
Absolutely. Dude, where is the list of colonoscopy patients we need to, where are the locations to check? Lobby? Yes.
We've got a burn victim, John. Is there a John?
Right. So
you're probably clearly him.
Yeah. Well, Moody, as you well know, we end all of our interviews with a little segment that we call Controlled Rowdiness. Now, these are just some rapid-fire questions, which you can answer with as short or as lengthy a response as you would like to. There are no right answers, but there are several wrong ones, so make sure not to step on any of those landmines, and expect nothing from us by way of reply or response. And to get us going, I'm going to send it over to General Grease.
General Grease here checking in.
Hey, Moody. Why is that?
It's one of our things. It's just
it's another lie that our show is built upon.
Yeah,
we're just built on a foundation of lies. We found out.
We have told so many lies that we were asked to go on as a guest on another podcast, and they asked us a lot of questions like, "Oh, I heard you're becoming a pastor." And I said,
"No, we lied about that."
There's so many lies that we got called on.
And the test determined that was a lie.
Yeah. But anyways, these are
over again.
These are questions for you, sir.
Yes.
Moody, what is your favorite Mel Brooks movie?
Blazing Saddles.
Yeah, you'd have to think about it.
No, that has to be it.
And yeah, so what do you say? We say we don't confirm?
Yeah.
This is probably confirmed.
That's not the correct answer. That's just an answer.
It's probably correct.
Next
though.
question. What is Yes, next question. What's the better way to get feedback for your comedy? Is it better to get feedback for your jokes from like a group of comedy writers, like we know that you're a part of, or is the better feedback from the audience?
Oh, definitely the audience, never the writers, because the writers never laugh.
Oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense.
And they want to be helpful. So no matter what you tell them, they're going to have something different. So like you bring them, and then the sandwich had guacamole on it, and I said, I'm allergic. Like, what if you did it this way? Otherwise, what's the point of them being there? So no, definitely never the comments.
All right. As one big man to another, is there ever an umbrella that's big enough?
No, there's not. There was another big fella and I were at work walking down the sidewalk to go to lunch, and he was being kind and he's sharing his umbrella. And both of us got wet.
Yeah.
He gave it to me, and I'm trying to just be a little bit 100. He's trying to be a little under. We're just soaked. Like there was no point. So
The other thing is, if you're tall at all, which I'm tall, I might have the top part dry, but my legs are soaked. Like it just doesn't work. The bigger you are,
I don't use an
the
umbrella
more
for that
pointless.
reason. There's no point.
I agree. I just run.
Mythbusters have taught me that running actually gets you more wet.
Huh.
Yeah. So I just
because you're
mosey.
running into more
Yeah,
rain.
you're running into more rain. You actually get more wet whenever you run.
Huh.
Yep.
All right, your turn.
So there you go. So my family had Christmas this past weekend. We had a little makeup Christmas because we had some family members that were sick, and so we did our Christmas.
They
then.
didn't marry their own family members.
We did not. No,
these are family members that are blood related.
These were married Christmas family members, not married to one another family members. So when we all got together, my little niece, who's 3, got this pony. And it's a hand knit pony. She loves it as a little stuffed animal. She wants to play catch with it. So she tells me, "Hey, will you play catch with me? Be careful though, I'm not very good." And I was like, "Absolutely." So we played catch a couple of times. I end up in a conversation. She's played catch with somebody else. She throws it at my feet, and she says, Uncle Pookie, help me out." Nothing. And then she yells across the room, "Hey, big fella." Toss me that pony to me, right? Now, we've had pictures made. You know what size I am. Exactly how long can I anticipate that she will continue to call me big fella before she realizes not a big fella?
I mean, you got big muscles.
Yeah, that's what she meant. She meant Mr.
Sorry, I know you didn't ask me this question. I'm just weighing in.
This is Danley being part of our comedy group where he's like, no. You could try it this way. You've got big muscles.
Big muscle.
Yes. When you do improv, the first thing you learn is yes and.
Yes and.
Yeah.
Yes and. Comics don't know yes and.
No.
Improv people do.
Improv
They
people
go,
do.
but
Yes.
but no.
Yeah, but try this. Yeah. Yep.
That's why you need Andy Forrester. Andy Forrester is also an improv guy.
Okay.
He's so much fun.
We'll have to check him out. I'm familiar with
I
the
might
Andy.
know who that
I'm familiar
is,
with the Andy Forrester name.
Yeah.
Yes.
He's got a drive bar special out there, which I love. But he and I will get on these talks, and our talks last like an hour every time we talk. We'll just keep on talking. It is the best. We should make a podcast out of it, I think. Otherwise, yeah, I don't know, but we should. We should do it. But anyway, go ahead.
It should be called "Are You Okay?"
That's right. And you'll see the rage
With
come
Moody,
from both of
Moody
us.
and Andy Forrester.
Yeah. Okay, let's rank condiments. It's about time.
Oh, here we go.
We've got. Let's go down the list: mustard, ketchup, mayo.
Yeah,
I think ranch is a dressing, but can also be a
Okay, so
condiment. especially
mustard,
here.
ketchup, mayo, ranch, Miracle Whip. Order them up.
Mayo and Miracle Whip.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
they're
All
not
right.
the same.
They're not the same.
Okay.
Mustard.
Number
is what? Number one?
Number one
on the
or number
bottom?
5?
Are we doing this Dave
Mustard
Letterman
is
style?
number one.
Coming in
Mustard
at
is
number one.
Mustard.
Mustard.
Number one.
Why?
Mayonnaise number 2.
Okay.
Are you saying why?
Yeah.
It's the most flavorful of every sauce. I mean,
It is.
I'm thinking about that.
It
It's
is the
probably-
most
and it's
flavorful.
so versatile. It's
probably
great
true.
for when you're grilling steaks. It's a great
What
binder. It's,
kind of mustard?
just a regular yellow mustard.
Okay.
Is
Because if
It
you're talking
has
about
so much
poop
flavor.
on, I don't know.
Mustard number one.
Ba-bum.
that's your number
Locked
one.
in.
Number 2.
You don't have to answer why.
Mayonnaise number 2.
Yeah.
Ranch 3.
Yep.
Ketchup 4. And Miracle Whip 5.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Definitely
for sure.
Miracle Whip in the
Mirac-
end. I would. Nah, I don't think I would eat Miracle Whip.
Miracle Whip is like if you put sweet and low into mayonnaise and then try to sell it to somebody as sugar.
One time, I think Heather bought Miracle Whip, not knowing the difference, and that expired.
Yeah. Like decades and decades it has to have in order to expire. All right, Moody, last question. If you could name June Colson's dad anything other than hot dog, what name would you give him?
Father.
Okay. All right, yeah,
That's his name.
That's pretty simple.
Father.
Yeah.
I mean, she's got a ridiculous name, and you just made it normal. That's subverting.
So
That's
now I have a
good.
question. He did illegally perform a wedding ceremony. Do you think he did it as Father Hot Dog? Could have been. Yeah, with wheelchair Batman and Robin and the whole nine yards.
I do not think he had his credentials for that.
Well, what kind of credentials do you need as Father Hot Dog?
I mean, I think if
he's been in the Oscar Mayer wiener truck. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, and it was in Kentucky. Nobody's
I'm not
checking the
gonna
blue
contest
people's
this.
credentials.
No.
Moody, thanks so much for being on the show once again, dude. Tell our audience where it is that they can find you and a little bit about this special that you've got coming out and when we might be able to expect it.
So the special will actually be it was recorded for Sirius XM and Pandora, so it's an audio special.
Beauty.
We did get 3 camera angles, so that's going to be for YouTube and doing shorts and getting people.
Dude, put it on your website.
About it. But 800 Pound Gorilla will produce it for SiriusXM and for Pandora. So iTunes as well, I believe.
Nice.
Definitely not Spotify. Won't be there.
But sorry, Joe Rogan.
They don't pay you. So
Yeah.
my stuff is on Spotify. Last week I realized my stuff is on Spotify. I'm like, I don't ever get paid for that.
Oh, that's no good, man. And then where can our audience find you if they want to follow you on social?
On social, you can look for Moody Molavi comedy, or just look for @TheMoodMan. That's it. At Facebook @TheMoodMan.
Links to all that stuff is going to be in the show notes. Make sure that you check it out. Give Moody a follow. Dude, thanks so much for being on the show.
Absolutely. Thanks. See ya.
Moody freaking Molavi.
Yeah.
How's about it?
It was awesome.
It was. Moody's always fun to
He's
talk
so
to.
animated too. Like he's so funny.
I'm always like worried about where we're gonna go. This is one of the things with Moody. We've got way too much candy up here from Camden, and all of it
uneaten.
It's not like regular candy. Like he brought us.
It was partially
sticky
masticated.
candy.
Yeah.
Right. Like most of the if we're getting candy, I'm
There
getting
is
chocolate,
no way.
or I'm getting Kit Kat or Hershey's.
Look,
I'm not getting
The majority of
lollipops.
this episode I spent trying to eat a sugar daddy.
Trying to eat one sugar
Trying
daddy
to
and
very-
listen to
very
him
quietly.
chuckle in the background of how proud he is
I
of
was
himself.
very quiet, like, don't get in the microphone. But it doesn't work that way.
You sounded like Alana sipping tea whenever you were trying to eat your sugar daddy. Like,
Well, I'm not Alana.
you're not.
I'm-
You're Guy Lana.
I'm Guy Lana.
Guy Lana, and I'm Mailgan. So. Anyway, that's a joke for another day. But Moody was great. I'm really excited about getting to see his dry bar. I guess sort of his 800 Pound Gorilla, right? A sequel to the dry bar special, because the dry bar special did so incredibly well.
Mm-hmm.
It was so well received, and then when the pandemic hit, like all of the momentum that he had from the dry bar special just fell flat because nobody was booking anything. So I do like the analogy that, he's going from driving an old, a 20-year-old Honda to now he's in a big, a Volkswagen's largest SUV. But I do have to wonder, why doesn't Moody drive domestic? Why is it he's only ever buying foreign cars?
We'll have to ask him that next time.
Yeah, but it is really true. He is more experienced. He's got a better idea of his why for comedy, right? And I think
You're right.
And that's, we talked with Ricky Pope a little bit about this whenever he was talking about, setting goals for the year, and like knowing your why you're doing something is such an important thing, in corporations and blah, blah, blah. And I think we think about it in those terms. But when you're pursuing something in the entertainment industry in particular, right? And we've been there. If you don't have a good motivation to do it, it will crush you, because, and we wrote a song years ago, and we recorded it at a venue that it was called Firewater. It's now Gas Monkey Garage and Grill or Gas Monkey Bar and Grill. They've got live music there. It was up.
Was it the one we didn't have lyrics for yet?
No. This was when we did a song called The Way Things Are.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So it was up, and I had a friend of mine who was like, "Hey, I found your band on YouTube," and I was like, "Oh, awesome." And then he started reading me the YouTube comments because he thought they were hilarious.
Yeah.
They were like soul crushing.
Yeah, they were really mean.
They were so awful. And he's like, "What do you think about that?" And I was like,
And this was kind of
I
the
don't
beginning.
care.
This is
And
kind of the
second,
beginning
we're
of-
obviously not friends if you think that's the best thing to do, as with this song that like I'm really pouring my heart out in the song lyrically.
Yeah.
And it's bad not because of anything that has to do with the song, because you can't even make the song out because the recording was so awful.
Yeah.
You know, but if you don't have a good reason why you're doing what you're doing, those kind of moments,
It's easy to get.
will just be devastating.
It's easy for those harsh moments, which there are,
Yeah.
to be an end.
Yeah.
Rather than well, that's not really what it's about.
Right. And
You know, a couple of
dude,
a couple of funny guys on YouTube.
yeah, and or just, you know, mean keyboard warriors,
Yeah.
or whatever they are, and having a good reason why you're doing what you're doing, other than, you know, I'm just doing it to enjoy myself, is a pretty incredible thing. And you know, we met Moody through Lee Harden, right? And so, and you know, it's so weird how much of this you can trace back from one guest to the next, right? So this is part of for me, it goes back to the Jeremy Nunez umbrella of, you know, introductions and all that. But like watching,
Hey, did I nail with that umbrella question? or
yeah,
what?
yeah, very good. But watching, you know, those guys'
Umbrellas are for girls.
careers
Is what
has been really interesting because of the way that they've had to shift and pivot. But both of them have a very clear understanding of why they're doing what they're doing, and it is, I think, been one of the things that's carried them through. Because how many of the people that we've looked at or that we've seen that have started in comedy around that same time are just, they've given up.
Yeah.
Like it's just not going to happen for them anymore. And I, like you said, you know, at the end of the interview, I couldn't be more proud of what he's doing, where he's,
yeah.
you know, where he's come from. And then,
Dude, he's our buddy too.
He is, and that's part of the thing that's so cool about it.
Look, I don't mean this in a mean way, but some of these people that we have on are really fun to meet. I feel like he's our buddy.
yeah,
like he
and
prank
that's
called
a
me.
cool. Yeah, I had forgotten about that.
He left me voice messages, multiples.
Yeah.
I appreciate you, Moody.
And Moody was one of the folks. So he was talking about everything that he was going through in October during the interview, and during that time, right, he's in recovery from all of that. He calls me to wish me happy birthday. My birthday was 4 days after all of this stuff happened, or 5 days after all this stuff happened. He calls me to wish me happy birthday right as he's getting out of the hospital, and, or, you know, in the midst of everything he's got going on, and then starts asking me questions about Levi. And, you know, how's life with him at home, and blah, blah,
Are
blah.
you okay?
And then, yeah, are you okay?
I still disagree with
Yeah,
that.
well, it's, you know, some people's hang-ups.
Yeah.
So anyway, and then when I asked him, you know, how have you been doing? What's going on? He starts to tell me all this other stuff. But the character of the guy to be in the midst of all that other junk that's going on in his own life, in the midst of his own trial,
Yeah.
and to
100%.
reach out and just say, hey, you know, happy birthday. I hope things are going well with your kid. You know, we're praying for you, whatever. It's
Moody's
really cool.
Moody's about to say a really mean thing right after this ends.
Yes,
About
so
how you should listen to us, and in spite of that, we say go listen to
Yeah,
his
go-
new special.
Anyway.
Go check out his Drive
Yeah.
Hard special.
That's exactly what I did that is exactly
know.
what I did in the intro to Isaac. Did you do that on purpose?
No.
Okay, well, there you go.
No, it just happened naturally.
Moody Molavi, make sure you check out all his stuff in the show notes.
Don't listen to him in 6 seconds.
And he will be out on tour. You guys stay hard, keep jamming. We'll see you.
My name is Moody Molavi, and this is why you should never listen to the Reverend and Reprobate, because they lie. Every word that they say is a lie.